Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping right in, tackling a question that's probably crossed your mind if you follow football closely. Can a tight end's college career YRR actually predict how well they'll do in the NFL? We've really dug into the numbers here, doing a deep dive on the stats to see what they tell us about evaluating talent. Maybe find something useful for you.
Yeah, exactly. The goal here was to find something, genuinely actionable. We looked at the top 50 fantasy football finishers each year, specifically using PPR scores, points per reception. And we went way back, all the way to 2003, using PFF's career YRR data. That's key career data, not just one season.
Right, the whole college picture.
Precisely. And when we mention the bottom 10, that just means the guy's finishing 41st to 50th in fantasy points each year.
Gotcha.
The idea was just to compare them, the top 10 versus that bottom group, and see if there was a clear difference, find a sort of pattern.
Okay, so you set the stage. What was the first big thing that jumped out, the first clue that YRR was actually important?
Well, looking at the averages chart, it was immediately obvious. Just bam. A really consistent pattern. Across all 7 seasons we analyzed, every single time, the top 10 fantasy guys had a higher college career YRR than the players down in that 41st to 50th bracket.
Every single time?
Every time. No exceptions in our data set. So it wasn't just noise. It really strongly suggested that, this college metric holds some real predictive weight.
Wow, okay. That's pretty clear then. So seeing that general trend seems to mean better NFL production. What was the next logical question? Were you trying to find a magic number?
We knew there was a connection, but how strong? And could we find a specific YRR number where things really started to change, where performance noticeably jumped?
Right.
So to find that, we basically created this differences chart internally. It helped us map out different YRR levels against how guys actually performed in the NFL, look for the big jumps.
What did that chart start showing you?
Well, initially it looked like maybe a 1.6 YRR and above was pretty interesting. That range started showing promise.
But after all the digging, all the, data crunching, what number really solidified? What's the threshold that you found actually holds up?
Yeah, after we tested it more thoroughly, the optimal threshold really came out as...
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At BrainyBallers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting abilities so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers' Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description.
1.5
now back to the
YRR and
show.
above.
1.5, that's the number.
That's the key number to look for. When we look back historically, tight ends hitting that 1.5 mark or higher in college, they had a 39.0% higher rate of finishing in the top 10 in fantasy compared to those guys in the bottom 10 group.
39%. That's a massive difference.
It really is. It points to a significant edge.
So if a tight end hits 1.5 YRR in college, what does that really signal about them? Is it just getting open? Good hands? What underlying skill does that number capture?
Well, what's fascinating, I think, is that 1.5 YRR isn't just, arbitrary. It seems to reflect a player's core efficiency.
Efficiency, okay.
Yeah, it suggests they're consistently good at getting separation, creating value every time they run a route, even against decent college defenders. It's less about maybe one huge play and more about dependable production.
Right, consistency.
And the stats back it up pretty well. We calculated the Pearson value, that's a statistical measure of correlation, and it came out to 0.272.
Okay, 0.272. That's considered a pretty solid positive correlation in this type of analysis. And just for, context, they compared it to QB Draft Capital's correlation with success. Quarterback draft position had a Pearson value of negative 0.219 in a similar setup.
So 0.272 shows a definite positive link. As college YRR goes up, NFL production tends to go up too. It's a clear signal.
So the fact that TEYRR shows a stronger positive correlation of 0.272 really makes it stand out as a potentially powerful tool specifically for evaluating tight ends.
Okay, that really puts it into context. So let's boil it down. What's the main takeaway for someone listening? How should this change how you look at tight end prospects?
The big takeaway is pretty straightforward. Keep an eye on that 1.5 YRR threshold. If a college tight end hits that mark or higher over their career, it's a genuinely strong, data-backed indicator of potential NFL success.
Powerful tool.
A powerful tool, yes. But, and this is the crucial caveat, always it should aid your evaluation, not be the only thing you look at.
Right, not the whole story. Definitely not. So many other things matter. Coaching, scheme fit, injuries, opportunity. Just plain luck sometimes. It's one piece, a significant piece, but still just one piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. It's not a crystal ball, but it's a very, very interesting piece of data to have in your toolkit. So maybe the question for you listening is, how does understanding a pattern like this 1.5 threshold, change how you might evaluate potential in any field, not just football? Something to chew on.